Kim Kardashian didn't just climb the ladder. She got a boost, and the booster was a powerhouse now tied to trafficking and racketeering allegations. Sean Diddy Combs. His name turned toxic overnight, and the part no one wants to spell out is how close that link once looked, and how fast Kim tried to fade it once the heat hit.
They can control Jay-Z and Beyonce.
No, not you, man.
But they can't control me.
No,
You see, it
you.
ain't no name I won't name.
You can track it by the timestamps and the sudden cleanups, posts gone, pics missing, and a brand in full damage control mode. This isn't just crisis PR. It's a sprint from a past that could shake the whole Kardashian setup. The switch flipped in March 2024 when Kim quietly unfollowed Diddy on Instagram. Small click, big signal. That same week, federal agents raided his spots in Los Angeles and Miami, pulling evidence as a multi-agency probe grew into talk of trafficking and racketeering. People in the room said the unfollow wasn't random. It was strategic, not dropping a buddy, but deleting a bad line from the script.
But as far as Meek Mills, Puff Daddy, whoever, none of these all you fake hard
I really do feel this way. This Kim Kardashian devoted her life to something, but it certainly wasn't the pursuit of academic excellence. She didn't even go to college, Harvey.
For years, the family showed up at Diddy's elite parties. Photos, hugs, sparkle, and primetime networking in the inner circle. Then those same parties landed under a legal microscope and the vibe flipped fast. Kim stayed silent. No comments, no defense, no cute captions, just a quick unfollow and 2 weeks off her own grid, like she went ghost on purpose. The heat spiked when, her ex, father of her 4 kids, and the guy who knows her brand playbook inside out, fired shots in early 2025. He talked about Hollywood sacrifices, and social media went into overdrive instantly. They can control LeBron, Jay-Z, Beyonce, he said, but they can't control me. To many, it felt like another Ye flare-up, but the subtext hit different. He was linking celebrity clout, hush money, and careers built on proximity to power. When he name-checked Diddy, followers started asking what his ex might have seen in those same rooms. The takeaway sounded blunt. If Diddy symbolized the shadow side of fame, then Kim had once been close to that very table too. That idea spread fast and loud. Then the noise jumped again. Ray J, Kim's former boyfriend tied to the tape that launched her fame, popped back into headlines. This wasn't throwback chatter. It came off like a warning. During a September 2024 live stream, Ray J told viewers he was prepping a federal RICO move against Kim and Kris Jenner, claims so wild they sparked a rapid defamation suit. The feds are coming, he warned, saying it could be worse than Diddy. The Kardashians' lawyer, Alex Spiro, blasted the remarks as false and serious, but the clips were already sliced, posted, and dissected across TikTok. People asked, why would Ray J risk more legal smoke unless he believed he had receipts? And if it was empty talk, why pounce so fast instead of shrugging it off? By October, an old clip resurfaced, a 2014 Keeping Up with the Kardashians moment that suddenly felt like it hit too close. Khloe, laughing about a wild weekend as she told Kourtney, and fans read between the lines all over again. Half the room was basically undressed, she said, then dropped names Diddy, Quincy Brown, Justin Bieber, French Montana. Back then it played like routine reality TV chaos, but in 2025 that clip hit different. It stamped the Kardashian sisters squarely inside Diddy's orbit during years now flagged as his darkest by investigators. Fans dug up old photos. Kim in silver sequins by Diddy, Khloe's caption reading nothing like a Diddy party, and what once looked flashy suddenly read like evidence to the crowd. Glam turned into questions. Fast. Behind the gates in Calabasas, the vibe shifted from bold to brittle. Appearances got scarce. Interviews were pulled, and insiders whispered she'd grown hyper-cautious about leaks. The machine went quiet, and everyone noticed. At the same time, Ye lit the fuse again, accusing her of blocking their child's tie-in to one of his new projects that sampled Diddy's music. He posted private texts exposing raw friction that never really cooled. One message even claimed, she's hiding behind lawyers before it vanished.
But it's gotten you so far.
I don't know how I would deal as a mom. I'm gonna have to.
You're gonna have to.
I do.
I was gonna say we're gonna get to that. But do you think your mom is unfazed now? Do you think there's anything you actually could do that your mom would be like, actually, what?
I think every time we say that, something comes up, and then it's like, what?
This wasn't just co-parenting drama. It was optics in neon. Kim could not risk any thread, even indirect, connecting her to someone the FBI now labels a suspected trafficker. And kept pressing that point. Then came mini blow-ups, online debate over North-supervised TikTok looks, makeup and faux tattoos, sparked backlash, with some saying it was a smokescreen. After that, the Ray J lawsuit landed, plus firm legal statements about reckless disregard for the truth, and the brand felt like it was walking on glass. And then came Kim's on-camera crack. Season 7 premiere, bright lights, cold exam room, where she told the family she'd been diagnosed with a brain aneurysm. Doctors brushed it off as just stress. But the real question buzzing everywhere was stress from what exactly? By then, Diddy's sentencing was only weeks away, 50 months, headlines worldwide, and a witness list that reportedly touched every corner of entertainment. Kim's earlier unfollow suddenly looked less random and more like she saw the wave coming and stepped back fast. Insiders whispered her camp feared a subpoena, not as a suspect, but as someone who could map out those elite circles and how they moved. Whether that fear was legit or not, the pressure felt heavy enough to shake her health and her image at the same time. Meanwhile, Ye kept the heat on, hinting that Hollywood shields its own and that Kim's empire sat on sacrifices no one wanted to spell out. He wasn't talking marriage anymore. He was talking exposure, timing his blast right when new filings in Diddy's case dropped. Each flare-up pulled Kim's name back into a story she needed to outrun. And by late September, even casual viewers were asking if her rise was pure grind or carefully engineered by a powerful network now under federal glare. That question didn't fade. It got louder. Then the teaser hit. Kim at a table, hands tight, voice low, whispering, "Why is this happening?" as the camera hung on her face just a beat too long.
You know, the thing about the kids at some point here, and not for the younger ones, it's at some point. For North, it's right now, right? That even if she doesn't see it, even if somehow Kim is able to keep that away from her, the kids that her friends at school, they're gonna know about it. They're gonna see it. And it's just, it puts the kids in a...
Publicly, it was divorce stress, co-parenting weight, fame pressure. Believable, sure. But the vibe felt bigger, like the walls were inching in fast. But what if that wasn't the whole play? What if the real stress wasn't Ye at all, but the fear of what Diddy's case might drag into daylight? The parties, the tapes, the guest lists, and the folks who were never meant to be seen there. What if that aneurysm wasn't random, but the cost of staying quiet while a scene she once owned started caving in around her? If the first act showed cracks, the next act shows what's crawling out. Because this isn't just a celebrity sweating headlines anymore, it's a whole machine built on silence, cash, and control getting dragged into the open. Follow the money and the room gets cold, fast. Look at the $200,000 a month Kim gets from Ye. On paper, it's child support, but in context, it reads like something heavier, like a monthly reminder to keep the peace and keep it moving. Call it paranoid if you want, but the numbers talk loud. Then came a post that set timelines buzzing. Northwest, famous since birth and living under nonstop cameras, shared a drawing inspired by the cover art for Vultures 1, a project adults themselves labeled explicit in tone.
Courtney always says North is my lesson on this planet.
What does that mean? She's your lesson.
It means that I'm supposed to learn even more patience.
Fans called it troubling and not age-appropriate. And the question wasn't why she drew it. It was who greenlit sharing it at 12, and whether the adults were thinking about safety first. North's version didn't blunt the edge, and that's why people read it like strategy. Because if it wasn't promo, it looked like a message, a wink to a bigger plan in motion. And that's when the whispers turned into full-on side-eye. Because signals like that don't get posted by accident. A signal. Kim using her child as both cover and distraction kept popping up like a shiny object tossed to the crowd while the real fight.
Like, it's just crazy. Interact with other human beings besides the children in your family all day long. We're great.
A viral headline about North's art grabs attention, and boom, the adults keep moving chess pieces in the dark. That loop, deflect, distract, deny has years on it. Remember Khloe Kardashian's old story about Diddy's parties? Played for laughs back then, but now it lands with a thud when she casually noted Justin Bieber was there. She joked that half the guests were naked, which once drew giggles. Now it chills the room, especially since Bieber was 20 at the time, a young adult surrounded by industry heavyweights in a space that sounded way too grown. No follow-up from Bieber, Kim, or Khloe. Only Diddy ever talked up those gatherings, and he's currently behind bars. Here's the bigger point. Bieber's name showing up isn't random, it's part of a pattern. In 2014, he was orbiting that same star map. Producers linked to Diddy, the same after parties, the same velvet rope ecosystems, while his public image tried to reset from tabloid noise. Behind the scenes, circles overlapped, shared entourages, mutual publicists, identical backdrops, and every photo felt like a breadcrumb, even when cameras never caught the principals in one frame. None of this proves wrongdoing, but it sketches proximity. And proximity matters when people start asking who knew what and when. People forget how massive the Diddy circle really was. And yes, Bieber moved inside that orbit too. By 2025, that detail mattered again, because as the case against Diddy widened, tabloids replayed Chloe's old confession clip and Bieber's name slid back into headlines, this time with a calculated quiet that felt intentional. No statements, no clarifications, nothing, just silence while insiders said he was focused on faith. To some, that looked less like serenity and more like strategy, because acknowledging one party can open the door to many more, and to faces that don't want the spotlight now. Remember Bieber's pivot point. His spiritual rebrand landed months after he quietly stepped back from older industry mentors, including a few tied to Diddy's network. Around then, Kim Kardashian was still popping up at those same elite rooms, same backdrops, same power crowd, while Bieber was trimming his timeline like a pro. It read like two exits from the same highway, one early, one late. And that's why the silence hits so hard today. He knows what those suites look like. He just isn't painting the picture. And that choice speaks volumes in a world built on optics. Then the timeline got weird. March 2025, Kim taps unfollow on Diddy, and that same month, Bieber's name resurfaces in pieces linking him to the 2014 party chatter. Coincidence or coordinated moves from two media veterans who rarely slip by accident? Entertainment lawyers whispered about quiet heads-ups on fresh evidence under federal review, and if that's real, Kim's unfollow wasn't clout management. It was legal triage under pressure. Here's where the lens widens past one clan. The Diddy circle touched way more names than folks want to admit. And if a conviction is the first domino, who else tips next from that same decade-long trail of invite-only nights and closed-door power plays? Kim wasn't just in the room. She moved with a system that made those rooms feel untouchable. And if Bieber, the then-young superstar, went quiet, that silence lands like a witness mark, not an accident. Silence talks, and lately it's been shouting. When a brand built on oversharing suddenly goes mute, the real question becomes, what are they protecting? People who worked around the family say certain A-list links were always off limits to mention, especially anything orbiting those Diddy events, which paints a picture of careful lines you weren't allowed to cross. After the raids hit the news, insiders say Chris greenlit a low-key audit. Old photos, background clips, event snaps, anything that tied back got reviewed, and then hundreds of throwbacks blinked out across feeds within days. Coincidence or cleanup, you tell me? On camera, Kim kept it steady, chalking her brain aneurysm up to stress. Divorce, co-parenting. The usual weight of fame, while the rumor mill read it as pressure with legal heat attached. Doctors can point to blood pressure and burnout, sure, but people close to the circle whisper it wasn't the split that shook her. It was the fear that yesterday's rooms might resurface in tomorrow's filings. That's the kind of dread that crawls under your skin when you know every old frame, caption, or cameo can get recut into a brand new narrative you can't control. So when trafficking headlines put Diddy's name back in bold, the family knew the archives could boomerang. Every post, every cameo, every backdrop suddenly mattered again, and no publicist on earth wants to fight that tidal wave in real time.